Oh yeah, getting the job done. There it is. I mean, this thing is doing great. We did it. I'm coming. This is why a bike like this is pretty dang handy, because you get all the way over here and then your wife calls you home because she needs you for something. Saves a lot of time. There she is. Totally worth coming back. Hey friends, welcome back. I am Jason, and today what I want to do is test thoroughly a $200 hatchet, a $35 hatchet, and a $15 flea market hatchet, and see how they stand up to one another, and to see if it's really necessary to spend the money, or perhaps not. So first off, we've got our titanium paracord wrapped Exceed Designs company. And this model is the Heiser. And then we've got our Fiskars X7 small little camp hatchet there. And then we've got a Plum little carving camp hatchet right there that I picked up for 15 bucks at the flea market. Now, I realize that these are various different weights. They're not exactly the same. It's not exactly comparing apples to apples, but it's the best I could do with the supply of hatchets that I have on hand. We're starting out sharp with all three of these, so it's a fairly fair comparison, I would say. But let's first see one of the first things that I would do with a hatchet, a camp hatchet of sorts, is to split up some kindling. So let's see how they function in that aspect. So here's a piece of pine that's only got one knot in it that I can tell. This hatchet is advertised as one of the lightest on the market, if not the lightest on the market. And when it comes to chopping tools, lighter is not always better. Yeah, it's got a super lightweight titanium handle with a D2 steel head on it that's bolted on. But like I said, lighter doesn't necessarily mean better, especially when it comes to splitting. So let's see what happens with this narrow blade design when I try to split with it. Well, that worked. And then from there, we've got our sliver of wood, our plank of wood here. We could start splitting off some kindling. It's getting the job done. Yeah, it's a decent kindling splitter. Yeah, for sure. It's doing it with this fairly straight-grained, knot-free pine. It's doing the job. So in pretty short order, we've got some kindling ready for our fire using the D2 titanium fancy $200 hatchet right there. Switch it up and let's go to our $35, under $40 Fiskars hatchet right here. Significantly more meat in the blade right there. It's gonna have it has a wider profile right there, more wedge-like profile. So my guess is it's probably gonna split significantly better, and it is a little bit heavier with a slightly longer handle, more girthy handle. Now that is one thing that I noticed on this one. This is, of the three axes, this is probably the least comfortable one to use, simply because of its narrow, small little paracord wrapped handle. I would say it's by far the least comfortable. If you were using this all day long, despite it being lightweight, I feel like it actually might fatigue your hand more. Oh, wow. Okay, so yeah. So this splits significantly better. Yeah, that's tearing it in half pretty quick. And while this titanium handle, I'm sure, is very tough and probably virtually indestructible, so is this Fiskars handle. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, you could scuff it up a little. All right, I've had little nicks and stuff out of it, but I mean, try to break one of these handles. Try. It's really tough. It's very, very difficult to damage one of these handles. Yep. The Fiskars gets the kindling job done really well. Quite proficient at that one. Yeah, let's try out the classic plum right here. Nice hickory handle, really form-fitting, super comfortable handle. Of all of the handles, I would say, without a doubt, this one is the most comfortable and most enjoyable to use. So still more meat on the head, a little bit heavier head than this one. Probably a little lighter, I don't know, maybe about the same. Similar weights, these two right here. That worked. Oh yeah, getting the job done. The classic plum. Yep, piece of cake. All right, let's say we do maybe a little bit of carving perhaps with these hatchets and see how they perform, how they feel in the hand. I already tell you, I don't particularly like this right here, that shape right there, because when I choke up on it, it kind of digs into the middle of my finger right there. And you know how sensitive I am, how soft I am. I like comfortable items. So I don't particularly like that, but maybe if I just kind of adjust my grip a little bit, it won't be that big a deal. But yeah, this thing's super sharp. You could do feather sticks with it. Sorry about the road noise, guys. I'm up here by the road and cars going by this time of day. Hopefully that's not too distracting from the task at hand here. But yeah, I mean, this thing is doing great, feathering this wood out. Yep. Very nice. Yeah, I mean, I like I said before, the handle on this one is not super comfortable, you know, as far as carving goes, and after a day of it, like, that's super annoying. I do not like that at all. It's so light, it's really nice to do that kind of work with. Just these small little chops to remove a little bit more material than you could do with just shaving, you know. Just shaving the meat off like that, like you would with a knife. You can get significantly more done faster, shorter period of time by doing that right there. And for that reason, this is pretty good because of its lightweight. But again, it seems counterintuitive, right? This little light thing with a small little handle you think would be less tiring because it's so light and small, but it's more difficult to hold on to, and therefore fatigues your hand more than something like this with a little. You can relax your hand a little bit and let the tool do the job, as opposed to you having to squeeze the thing. Just sharpen this one. It's pretty sharp, but it doesn't have as keen of an edge. It doesn't have as narrow, as sharp of an edge as this one right here. This thing's more like a knife, and this one's much more wedge shaped. So for fine carving tasks, like, I can already tell this is doing the job for sure, but it's giving me beefier curls. It's giving me chunkier curls, as opposed to, if I'm really careful, I could probably do the same thing. Yeah, I could do it. I just got to be a little bit more cautious to get finer shavings than I would have to with this really knife-like blade contour. Little light chops. Perfect. And I can relax my hand a little bit. I'm using this wooden anvil here to stop my stroke. And I'm not having to squeeze this hatchet. I'm kind of just kind of working it like that. And it doesn't wear my arm out. Same thing with the plum. Harder, a little bit harder to get some really fine shavings out of it, like you would with your knife. But it does the job. And you could get some good quality feathers done in pretty short order to help you get your fire going. Super comfortable handle. I could work with this thing most of the day, I think, and be fine. I could choke way up on it, way up on the axe head. No uncomfortable spots, really. Maybe a little bit more roundness right here on the handle, but that's the beauty of a wood handle, is I can shape that thing any way I want. Customize it to fit my needs, to fit my particular hand. So far, they all are getting the job done. I feel like this one probably here is probably the best for splitting, and that's just simply for the longer handle and that more wedge splitting type blade profile, and that's so it is. This one's probably the most comfortable for carving, and that's just kind of what it's designed for. It fits in the hand really, really well. This one is definitely the lightest and has the keenest edge, has this is the most, I don't know, it has the thinnest profile, which makes it a little bit more conducive for finer, more delicate carving type tasks. But I don't know, why do you carry a hatchet? Do you carry a hatchet for fine, detailed carving? Probably not, and that's why you carry, you know, a small knife to do small carving tasks. But if you're looking for one tool to do all the jobs, I don't know. It's, you know, your choice, really. I know which one that I would choose. And it's based almost solely on in the enjoyment, the user experience, and that's going to be this old school plum one right here. And I just enjoy using that one the most, and that's the one that I would select, and I've got the least amount of dollars wrapped up in it, $15 at the flea market. This Fiskars is pretty enjoyable to use, pretty easy to use, and extremely effective. And I'd say, really, if I'm being honest, you know, nothing against this company. It seems like a quality product. This would be my third choice right here, simply because it's just not as comfortable to use. It's just not as effective of a splitter. It's not as effective as a hatchet, and that's just my personal, humble opinion. Take it for what it is. Now, one more thing that we haven't tested yet, and that's its hammering, staking ability. Let's try that out. You know, something kind of like that, a really crude stake, and I'll just kind of round off that top edge. If you don't bevel the edge on your stakes, they'll oftentimes split a little bit easier on you, and you don't want that. So just kind of round off the edges, the hard 90-degree edges on your stakes, and it will keep that from happening. So here's a really crude, rough stake, but it'll probably get the job done. Round up our edges. It definitely works the best for this. For that job right there, beveling the corners of our stake, it's more knife-like. Definitely does a good job of that. Vampire killing stakes right there. This ground right here is pretty dang firm. Been riding on it with, you know, four-wheelers, ATVs, and motorcycles and whatnot. It's pretty firm. Hopefully we don't hit a root. So far so good. No splitting of our stake. Excellent. Bingo. No problem whatsoever. Big surface, big, huge surface area on the back of that axe right there. Perfect. Very scientific testing, I know. These are not exactly the same length. I get it. But we'll save the shortest one for the smallest, lightest hatchet. How about that? We'll give this one the best shot we can give it because it is so much smaller and lighter. Clean that up right there. Do that one last. Let's do the Fiskars right next to it. Piece of cake. Excellent. A little bit of splitting. A little bit more splitting of the spike there of our Vampire Slayer than we had with the plum, but I think that's probably because this is just a bit wider, a flatter surface, and this just has a little bit rounder surface right there. You see that? Probably all that has to do with that. I don't have high hopes for this one because of how tiny that is. I mean, that's like, I don't know, not even half an inch, like 3/8 of an inch, something like that, wide right there. Let's do it. It's getting it done. Split it there. Almost got away with it. Almost got it all the way drove in there without splitting it until the last couple strikes there. Finally gave up. But I'm having to swing significantly harder with this one to get it to drive that stake into the ground. And that was the smallest stake, but it is the lightest axe. If you like titanium, you like ultralight, you like fancy and shiny and cool, then, you know, maybe this one is the hatchet for you. If you're the ultralight backpacker and you want a small hatchet to go in your backpack, then this is probably it, because this thing is super, super light and it gets the jobs done. Now, maybe you are strictly a utilitarian guy. I mean, you want the thing to get the job done. You don't want to spend much money, and you just want a tool that does the job, and it doesn't require hardly any maintenance whatsoever. Then this Fiskars X7, I guess, is probably the one for you. This could be your hatchet right here. Holds its edge pretty well. It's easy to sharpen. The handle is basically indestructible, which is nice. User experience, it's a plastic handle, rubbery kind of here, plasticky type handle. A little bit of vibrations and stuff when you're using it, but overall pretty comfortable and small, lightweight, compact. It's a good hatchet, and it's only 35 to 40 bucks, somewhere in there, depending on where you buy it. Now let's say you're a nostalgic guy, kind of like myself, and you appreciate the patinaed steel and the aged hickory handles. Maybe that's you, and there's a lot of value in the user experience. Do you enjoy using the tool? Maybe it's not the best tool. Maybe it's not the most efficient. Maybe it's not the indestructible handle. Like, I wouldn't want to be pounding on this handle with, although it'd last a little while, I wouldn't want to be doing that. I don't want to be throwing this into trees because I might potentially be breaking the thing. But I do enjoy using this much, much more, and I think there's quite a bit of value, a lot to be said about the user experience. But that's just me. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this in the comments section. Which one of these small little hatchets would you choose? Maybe if money wasn't the option, maybe if it didn't have price tags attached to it, which one of these would you choose? All things considered, which one would you pick? I really do appreciate you guys watching. I'm grateful for each and every single view, all of your comments and subscriptions. Very, very grateful for them. And by the way, this little hatchet was given to me by Dominic from Max Level EDC. He's got a great YouTube channel. Please go check that out, and please subscribe to his channel. He is the guy that knows all the things about all the techie stuff. He is a walking encyclopedia of all things EDC. So Max Level EDC, go check him out. Dominic, thanks for this little hatchet. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for inspiring this video idea. Guys, until next time, what's the worst that could happen? Let's go on 3. I'm terrible. I'm terrible at throwing a hatchet, apparently. Oh, there it is. There it is. It probably is the best one for throwing, if that's what you're into. This is a Windone electric bicycle that was sent to me a while back, and I have neglected to do a review on it up until now. I've had a couple of minor issues with it, nothing super major that can't be remedied with just a little bit of elbow grease, I would say. But this bike has been pretty great for just riding around the property, just getting from A to B, because it's got a full suspension. You don't have to, you're not kind of like on a hardtail bicycle and you're going through like a rough grassy patch or something like that. You kind of typically have to stand up on the pegs to absorb that impact. With this one, since it's got rear suspension there, it just takes all those little bumps out of the road, and it's pretty nice for that, really. And honestly, my son has been the one that's ridden this thing the most. He's put, I think, 60, I mean, I put some of them on there, but what does that say? 61 miles. Hopefully you can see that. So we got 61 miles on this bike, and the only issue that I had really was the front axle. These bolts, or this nut, came loose on this front axle. I took it off, and we put Loctite on there, and we haven't had an issue with it since. A locking washer, a nylock locking nut would be a good addition to this bike, but other than that, I haven't had too many issues. Like I said, it's super comfortable to ride around the yard and stuff like that, and just around the property, like a pit bike kind of deal. Really, really handy for that. It goes up the hills and stuff around here pretty easily, pretty well, and we have some pretty steep terrain. It carries my kids up the hills like it's nobody's business. It takes a little bit more pedal power on the steeper hills for me, but otherwise, it's been pretty good. Charges up fast. The charge seems to last a long time. I've done zero maintenance on this bike, other than that front axle thing that I told you about, so make sure that's good and snug. I've done zero maintenance on this bike in 60 miles of riding it. I've just been riding it, that's it. And my son has been abusing the thing significantly, crashing it a couple times, and it's held up well to that. The suspension is okay. It does, like I said, it's got front and rear suspension. I wouldn't call it like an off-road ready. It's not like a downhill mountain bike that's set up for like big jumps and stuff like that. I would not say it's that. It is pretty soft. You can bottom the suspension out, and you can bottom and top it out pretty easily. So I wouldn't say take it on the most extreme gnarly off-road trails, but like I said, man, for just getting around, like through this kind of stuff, through the grass and the branches, for that kind of stuff, it's fantastic. I mean, no, it's super lightweight. Like I said, battery lasts quite a long time. I haven't measured to see how many miles I can go with it. I think it's advertised somewhere around 50, but I don't know that to be true. Top speed, I think is somewhere around, I think I've had it up to like 26 or something like that. It gets the job done. Like I said, it's small, it's compact, it's easy to load up in the back of the truck and stuff. It's got smaller wheels, which means that I like the larger wheels. They seem to handle better in off-road conditions especially. But no major complaint there. So anyway, the Windone bike, check it out.